Are we live? Oh my goodness. It appears as if we're finally live. Are we live? Hello. Hello there. Are we live? 20 people, 14 thumbs up, 23 seconds in. And I need a response from the audience. Are we live? Can you see me? Give me a thumbs up. Thumbs up. Am I here? How's my audio? Do I have audio? Hello? Yes. Okay. We are officially live streaming. And the audio is good. The volume is good. Everything's good. Who knew? Hello. Okay. Let's do this. Audio's good. Color is up. All right. Begin. Nothing else to do except go to sleep tonight. We are now officially allowed to post on Oppenheimer Ranch Project, which we haven't been allowed to do for 7+ days. And we've been posting most of the updates. In fact, after the moment we got banned, 24 hours later, Iceland began erupting after all of our predictions came true on the site. And the eruption is growing. While people are downgrading it, this is not an insignificant event. The Iceland eruption is a historic event. The first time in 1,000 years in modern history that anything like this has happened on the Reykjanes Ridge. Should leave people some pause, yet the mainstream media is not picking up on it. They're not picking up on the fact that Sleepy Joe is tripping upstairs and completely incompetent, has yet to even given a State of Union address, which is promised by the Constitution. And we are literally have an illegitimate president, a crisis at the border, and an ongoing magnetic reversal and grand solar minimum, which no one seems to care about. Prices are about to skyrocket. Gas is up 30% in a week. It's a tweak. And yet we still have to wade through the science and the nonsense, as Peter Ford should say. Remember that interview? This is a great book. I don't know if you can get it without glare. There it is. Nonsense Returns. This is from 1970, and it's indicative of what's happening in 2021. 51 years later, still the nonsense, the bullshit is hitting the screens. Now we have 87 people in the house. Ransom is in the house. 420 Freedom is Films. Thank goodness. Ransom, give me your honest opinion on the clarity of the video. Is it above like 480, let's say? 420, waiting for your return. How is my video look? Am I sexy? Is it jumbled? Anybody? Yeah, and we're about to report Jono, whatever your name is. If I pronounce that correctly, I apologize. Jono, the flooding is ever epic in New South Wales. In fact, have you guys seen my hair? It's about to be extremely long. It's pretty fantastic. It's almost like a flock of seagulls. Look at that. Holy shit, I can't even wait for that. And do you know about the 5G blockers that are here over at tinfoilcap.co? Wow, this is a carbon fiber edition. Very limited. I think this is one of 10. Wow. Blocks all 5G. Makes you feel better. And look at how it grows the hair. I mean, can you even... I'm like Johnny Rotten over here. Okay. My video is garbled, according to Adel Tazadi. Is that true? Are we... I'm in 1080p, according to some. Everyone can hear me well. Is my audio jumbled? So I am pixelated. according to the masses. 420 hasn't really got back to me, that schmuck. Thanks, Ransom. But I look fuzzy. Okay. Well, when it comes back up, it won't be fuzzy because I'm not fuzzy in the record button here. But we have latency on. Serenification. Well, okay. So let me see if I can answer some questions, and then we'll just leave it at that. Let's just do 30 minutes. We've been up a few here. 5 minutes, 26 seconds and counting. So I'll try to stay still and answer your questions. So if anyone has any questions, please puff, puff, and pass. But before we do that, we're just going to take a short side note to get some of the Doobie Bird Daydream in there, which is coming in at 26% as a sativa, which will make me ever more present in this type of environment. So let me just get that quickly in there. Thank God this is legal here. Delicious. Let me just say. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Now here we are. Okay. Give me a moment. Okay, so how can I answer your questions? I'm doing fine. The Guatemala volcanoes have been going off for about a week and a half. There's nothing to worry about. There's an uptick in that region, so it's going to be ever increasing. Ecuador, Guatemala, Costa Rica, we should be looking at all those volcanoes to be going off before the Cascadia. It should be a roll-up of that so-called subduction zone as it goes. So let's continue. I'm doing KGB batter on top of Sunset Sherbet hybrid flower. Well, good for you, Matt. That sounds like a scientific equation and a wonderful aftermath. Okay. Did my thumbs up. Thank you, Casey. Do your part. I didn't know you could thumbs up the live stream before it went live. So that's awesome. This is just some of the things I'm learning about the new interface here. Question. COVID. There's a COVID question that'll get us demonetized. Priorities to work on right now with COVID and solar stuff happening. Priorities to work on right now. There is no COVID stuff happening except a fraud against humanity. So there's nothing to work on there except don't wear a mask and go about your daily business. And solar stuff happening shows a extreme disregard for anything that's happening. Your entire question, priorities to work on COVID and solar stuff happening, shows a complete disregard of any investigation into COVID or solar stuff. So Anissa Talib, you have like 3 or 5 years of investigation before you can ask another question. Next question. When will the grand solar minimum hit its peak? It's not a peak, it's a minimum. It's not the grand solar minimum is not a peak, it's a minimum. So again, running with scissors, you should probably fall on the scissors and hit your central aorta because it needs to stop beating. The minimum is the bottom. When it will hit its peak is absolutely the opposite of when the minimum happens, when it hits its minimum. So the grand solar minimum will never peak. It will only bottom out at the bottom. Solar maximums peak. Solar minimums drop out at the bottom. There is no peak. There is a bottom. If you think the bottom is a peak, then it's just your own mind trying to translate your own dysfunction. And I apologize with that. Now, but you are running with scissors. So stop running with scissors, put them down, put them in the drawer. And the grand solar minimum will bottom out between 2035 and 2038, supposedly, based on our scientific endeavor. That is the least requirement. It could continue beyond that and continue to bottom out past that. But there is no way to know where the bottom is until after the fact when they actually record it in historical documentation. So we can make a prediction, and our prediction is 2035, 38 is the bottom of the minimum. And it's started happening a few years ago, and we're dropping down. Each solar cycle will be lower and lower, and it'll flatten out. There'll be no solar cycles, and it'll come up, or it'll drop down and never return, which is about a 50% probability, because we could actually be dropping down into the next glacial cycle, which should happen in the next, now to 800 years, but it could be now. But these drop downs into the next glacial cycle take 4 to 1400 years. So 800 years from now is the same drop down. So it's our opinion at the channel that the drop down will continue from this point forever, infinity. There could be a slight uptick, but it will be a minor perturbation. It won't, there will be no hope, and it will continue to go away and away and away and away forever. Okay. So we've helped that one. Your update on polar reversal, Mavstar. I don't have anything to say about Mavstar except that I promoted his channel. I got him most of his Patreons. I think he's doing great work, his muon detectors, etc. I've heard that he's bad mouth Adapt 2030 and myself, and that's just because he's a prick in certain aspects. And the first time I met him, I said, never promote your channel, never ask people to give you money, because I'm a professional fundraiser. I said, that's not donate. They donate because they want to donate. You don't ask people to donate. You don't also badmouth people because they're not donating, because then no one will donate. And that's exactly what he's done for the last 3 years. Every video starts with him complaining about how nobody donates. And it's a complete antithetical bullshit analysis of his viewers. His viewers don't want to be harped on because they don't give him money. They're watching YouTube because it's fucking free. So this ass tart named Mavstar, he's a good guy, but he's still an idiot. He just doesn't understand how human nature works. If you continue to harp people about giving you fucking money, they're not going to give you any money. If you give them good content and you thank the people that already donate, other people will donate because they want to, because they have the resources, because they have the ability to. Not because you beg them to give you fucking $1. I mean, that's ridiculous. I have 10,000 people watch a video in a single day. If 10 of them give me a $1, I get $10. That's 1,000%. Complaining that 2% of your people don't donate. Shit, if 2% of the people that watch my videos gave me money, I'd be a billionaire. And that's not how it works. See, 420 just gave me $5. I didn't ask him to. And the next time he sees me, I'll probably give him work here. Or I'll give him something cool, or 3 pounds of marijuana, because I have it. He didn't donate that because he knows he's going to get more pot from Diamond. He donated that because he thinks he likes the video. That's how everyone should work. You should never pressure anyone into any situation. So Mavstar has some strange shit going on, but he's from the UK, and I don't know how it works there. They might have some different cultures than we do, and that might be how they go about business. But I told him how to be successful on YouTube and getting donors, and that's by not asking for contributions, just creating awesome content that people want to watch and thanking those that do donate. Because if you thank the ones that are donating, people that aren't donating are inclined to feel the need to donate, because they're like, well, I got a couple bucks. Shit, I watch 10 of his videos a week. I might as well give $1 a month. That's like 1 cent a video. And when someone thinks about it, they think that that's a good value. So that's how that works. I'm sorry I said ass tart, but Ransom loves it. All right, let me scroll back here and look for some more questions, because I tend to bloviate. Roxanne's a big proponent of the 7Ps. So am I, Roxanne. Only run down with scissors. Any questions? Crustal slip. How high do we have to get? Now, Q9, this is the question on everyone's mind, and everyone wants the answer. The problem is that there are no answers. All there are memes and fictional texts like the Adam and Eve story, where we can, oh, well, then you got the Bible and other stuff that goes way back. That's like a big flood and everyone dies. So you can try to glean insight scientifically from the historical text or the mythology. And you always come back to the least common denominator, and that's the Adam and Eve story, which says that the only people in North America that witnessed the big one, we're not talking about the flood of Noah 6,000 years ago. We're talking about the Younger Dryas mass extinction. This is the big one. And if you look at the cosmic catastrophe, Iron Cross, that's a 12,000 year cycle with a 6,800 year cycle every quarter. So there's a catastrophe at midnight, 3 a.m., 6 a.m., 9 a.m., and then boom, at noon, it's boom time again. Now, what does that mean for you and I? Well, it means that the Noah flood ended. The next one is not a flood. It's a freezing event, which drops sea level. The one we're living, sea level drops. There is no flooding event. So people like Ben Davidson and other people that are purporting that a flood is about to happen are completely off their, in my opinion, because we are not at the flooding event. The flooding event already happened half cycle ago. So at 12,000 years from the flooding event is a sea level drop event. It's a glacial event. The next flooding event is 12,000 years from now. So all these people that think there's some micronova that goes off every 12,000 years because Doug Vogt said so, and he calculated it to fucking October 27th, 4047 at 8:12 p.m. You're all smoking crack because the same guy had the same sign on its, Grand Central Station for the last 100 years. The end is nigh. But let's go to the science. And the science doesn't suggest that the same thing happens every 12,000 years. It doesn't suggest that at all. There is no suggestion of that at all. And these people that are writing books with 500,000 subscribers that are telling you to move to their Observer Ranch and giving them $500,000 for a quarter acre next 6 miles away from the most dangerous city in the United States and 8 miles away from a penitentiary that has 900 people locked up for the rest of their lives because they ate people and chopped them up and raped children, is the worst place you could absolutely ever put a survival ranch. And that's the same guy telling you that the next catastrophe is happening and you're gobbling it up. So you need to become more objective into who you're listening to and what they're saying. That's all I have to say. So just do your homework on where certain people's things are happening and why they would possibly buy, why would you even buy a single acre 10 miles away from the most dangerous penitentiary ever if you knew that a grid down scenario was coming? Think about that. And if he doesn't believe that, then he's completely delusional. The number one thing that everyone on the entire planet Earth has to worry about is what's coming from the sun. As the magnetic excursion continues and increases, our magnetosphere breaks down. At the same time, earthquakes and other things are happening. Volcanoes are erupting. But by that magnetosphere breaking down, a small flare, like a huge M or an X flare at Earth, directly forced at us is going to fry grids in certain areas. And that will be grid down for a year or more or forever. And if you're in a populated area, there are hundreds of thousands of hungry people that are coming to get your shit quickly. And if you're by a penitentiary where there are prisoners that murder people and eat people and you're 10 miles away, who are the first people that are coming to getting? You're done. You're done deal. I don't care how many bullets you have. You'll kill some of them, but they're getting you. It's just not the 7 Ps. Proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. The reason I'm sitting here is because no human will ever make it here, ever. When the grid goes down, the only people that are making it here are the 2,600 people 20 miles to the north of me. And they're not coming here because I'm going up there to teach them how to grow food, how to make community, and how to survive this event, the grid down scenario. I'm going to tell them how to get together and weave together their solar panels to make electricity during the day, to sleep at night, to grow food as soon as the sun comes up. I'll show them how to make walapinis and greenhouses. I won't have to fend off hundreds or thousands of felons that want to eat my children and kill me for my supplies. So the 7 Ps will get you every time. And I know I bloviated there quite a bit. I'm 20 minutes in. And let me get to some more science questions. Okay, so I basically probably answered all the questions scrolling by. So I'm going to go back down to the current spot. And if you already asked a question, I apologize. Please ask it again if I didn't already answer it. Ask the question again so I can see it. Snuggled under 5 miles of ice. There's nowhere. Listen, we are on our ranch is at the southern extent of the Rocky Mountain front. There has never been ice where I'm sitting, ever, in the last 140,000 years. There's no evidence of it. I'm a geologist and I researched this area. The ice was about 4 miles east of me, and it was about a half a mile high. And it provided this fertile valley that the Clovis people lived in 13,500 years ago, hunting mammoth. I have the artifacts to prove that. So I'm not living on a glacier. Anyone north of me is, like Colorado Springs, worst place you could be, because that's where the tunnel system is, DARPA and all the other shit. Another place that guy I just mentioned happened. Doesn't make sense. If you spend 5 minutes, I spent 3 years researching the place I came. And my entire academic background is based on the place I live. And people like Doug Vogt say, Diamond, you're going to be under ice. But I'm like, no, I'm a geologist and I got a scholarship to graduate school to study that. And there is no paleoclimatological data that says there is ice on my current latitude, my current longitude. I know exactly where the last ice extent was about 14,800 years ago. It was 4 miles to the east of me. And now I came here and looked at the area and there has never been ice here. There has been an outwash of melting ice. And that's what keeps this area fertile. That's the White River. That's the glacial dust. That's why I'm here. That's why this barn is 108 feet above the river, because it only ever got 80 feet high back in the last melt off. It means this barn is riverfront in a few decades, and every other home in the valley is gone. Do you think I did my homework? Yeah. Do you think suspicious observers did his? No. And when I pointed out the fact that he put his ranch next to the most dangerous city in North America and next to a prison where there's hundreds of people that will eat him and kill him alive when the power goes out, he said, we have guns. So he attacked me. He said they have guns. That means he didn't research it and he just figured that out when I sent him that information. Or he purchased 100 acres for pennies on the dollar, are charging people tens of thousands of dollars for a pinch of it so he can get rich and you can get fucked. That is completely insane. It's criminal, in my opinion, based on all of my studies. And I'm not trying to sell them out. I'm just trying to give you facts. So, and if you research it yourself, you're going to come up with the same conclusion I did. Bad idea. Now, if it's just a campground, good, go for it. But that's not what he's purporting it to be. So I do digress. Any other good questions? You know what, TGS source? I just saw your comment. Saguache Valley in the San Luis Valley, just over the ridge from here, is about to auction off about 4,000 lots. They're all about 1 to 3 acres, and they're only going for $600 to $800. And so check that out in the San Luis Valley, Saguache County is this summer in just about a few months. You can start bidding on them right now. If you go over to the Saguache County website, Saguache County, Colorado, land use or whatever, they're about to auction off like 1,200 lots. You could buy blocks of 3 of them for about $800 each. For a couple $1,000, you get 10 acres. And the entire valley has the most amazing aquifer in the entire world. It's thousands of feet deep. Some areas it has positive pressure, so it's an artesian area. So when you're actually drilling a well, you can get a gusher to come up of water, but it's the most pristine glacial, beautiful water under the San Luis Valley. It's hot, it's dry, it's extreme, but you're talking about the purest water in all of North America. It's not fracked, and you can pick up this land super cheap, and it's nowhere near Observer Ranch. So that's 2 thumbs up. Crustal displacement. Yeah, let's talk about that because a lot of people have bad ideas. Now, apologize for the coughing, but I've been talking a lot and I'm a little dry. So let's talk about crustal displacement before we get crazy. Now, I wish I had a way to show you graphs and all, but I don't have that right now. And maybe in the future we will if I have a little bit more bandwidth. But the idea of the Earth tilting 45 degrees and snapping back as a regular feature is complete bullshit. There is no geologic evidence of any of this snapping back bullshit. There is evidence that megalithic structures may be off of true north. And some of them are in South America or Central America. And they may be off a few degrees. And that makes sense. But the most logical explanation to all of this exists on a very obscure website that not a lot of people subscribe to. And that's Mario Build Up Reps or Mario Build Reps. And for the past 8 years, he's had the same videos up on crustal slip, which is not a quick flip or a 90-degree reversal or the Earth stopping and spinning the other way and the sun coming up in the other direction. Now, and I'm going to break that all down for you in a second. So just bear with me because, and just here's a tidbit. Not everyone in the world saw the sun come up from the other side. And that's a little tidbit that you should just marinate on. But according to Mario Build Up Reps and according to the geologic proxy data, if you just go Google GISP2 and at the same time do the Antarctic ice core data or EPICA, you could do that, EPICA data, and just hit image and just go look at the graphs, what you're going to see is a very obvious 100,000-year major catastrophe cycle. And a lot of you don't believe in the dating method, which is fine. But what we're looking at when we look at the EPICA data or the ice core data for the last 500,000 years, those 4 big, huge cycles, those are actual cosmic catastrophes. They actually happened. Whatever the time frame is, they happened. And it's very clear based on layers and layers of data geologically that is exactly what happened. And it's my opinion that the time frame is pretty close. And why I say that it would take a whole other podcast, and I could go ad infinitum on the amount of sediment based on the sedimentary record building up, the time frame it takes to accumulate. So you can say every mile of sediment equals this much time, etc. But because you also need subsidence to create the stratigraphic record. And that's my specialty. And a lot of people don't understand that. Just building up sediment doesn't get preserved in the future. You also have to push the basin down. And it's the amount the basin gets pushed down that actually gets preserved. So a lot of people are clueless on that one. So I hope I lit up some light bulbs there. But the point is that the major catastrophic cycle happens every 100,000 years. And the last one just happened. It was called the Younger Dryas event. It is exactly atypical of each one that happened every 100,000 years prior to it, going back 4 cycles. So there's nothing unique to the Younger Dryas event, except that modern man in its scientific endeavor says it's so unique. The only uniqueness is that it's so new that there's tons of recent evidence on Earth to go study it. The one that happened 120,000 years ago is buried and eroded, and there's not a lot of evidence. But if we were here 112,000 years ago, at 10,000 years after the event, it would be just as fresh. So it would look just as important. So that's why these non-scientists can't even use logic to figure out what they're looking at. So that's the first problem. So based on everything we know, the big event is over. The one that's happening now is not big. It's not significant. The Earth is not going to switch rotation. There's not going to be any flip or any of that shit. It's all bullshit to sell books and to get subscribers and to sell ad revenue. It's not to inform you. And if anyone has a modicum of respect, they would tell you the truth, but most of them don't. And what's going to happen on this one is going to be the same as every one in between the 100,000 years of events. It's a minor perturbation. We're going to see electrical activity in the sky. People are going to die. Huge portion of the population, maybe could be up to 80%. But I would suggest 30 to 40% because we are smart these days. And it won't have anything to do with the geologic events. Well, some of it will. A small percentage will die because of geologic events. But you've all just witnessed 100 people near the Iceland lava flows. None of them died. And so what's going to happen is that the majority of the population is reliant on government systems. They suck on the teats of the government. And those are the people that are going to die because they do not know how to survive and thrive without the government teat. So, and CF, Diamond, what is your take on energy from planetary alignments? Planetary alignments affect the human soul. They affect the way we interact with people. They affect events on Earth, earthquake events, volcanic events. And some of the things that my colleague, Adapt 2030, David Dubon, has said are true. I mean, the alignments of planets that line up with grand solar minimums in the past and empire failures are not insignificant. They are quite significant. And we should all glean knowledge from these types of events. And we should use these cycles to prepare for the future. And we haven't been doing that. I think that's what his moniker is. But what I'm trying to tell you is that the event that's happening now is not the Younger Dryas event. It's not even close. It is a factor of 10 lesser than that event. And it, in fact, on the cosmic clock, which is the Yuga cycle, if I can make an X, and it's a 26,000 year cycle, the major event happened. The 12,600 year flexure point is also a major cycle, but it is a cooling event. The sea level drops, and this is the event where we go into the golden age, where populations flourish and we regain knowledge. The last time this happened, the Clovis people spread out across the world. They learned how to hunt megalithic creatures. We called it the Solutrean, then we called it the Clovis at the end time. It was the golden age. It was the time of Atlantis, and then they got destroyed. So the next 12,600 years are going to be pretty badass. It's when we become psychic. We understand how to live in harmony and permaculture with nature. We'll build these amazing cities. We'll teach the mystery schools, and we'll put it all down in petroglyphs, in the megaliths, and we won't write any books. We won't teach any bullshit. And then it will all get washed away. And then a new peonic system like we've just created over the last 12,000 years will exist, will pollute the planet, will destroy the earth, and will be washed away like we deserve. And this cycle has been going on, in my opinion, with Homo sapiens like us that are as smart as me, that have the same cranium and the same brain capacity. They might not have the same carbon fiber or the same Dickies hoodie or any of this other crap. This total garbage. I'd be just as happy wearing a bison pelt next to my, because I'm literally, I don't have any, I'm basically in a hut here, a wood hut surrounded by wood next to a fire. That's where I am. I'm like right back at the frickin' beginning. And it's just like it ever was. 12,000 years ago, 40,000 years ago, when the first advanced carvings and paintings we know in caves were, 100,000 years ago, when some guy was making a flint tool, and maybe, and this is all in the last 20 years we've known this, maybe it goes back 400,000 years, just like the GISP-2 ice cores and the Antarctica, the Epica data, the ice core data goes back 500,000 years, pretty clearly. That every 100,000 years, whatever we gained was destroyed and washed away. Well, that happened 12,900 years ago during the Younger Dryas event. It ended 11,700 years ago at the end of the event and the top of the sea level rise. We're done with that. That is not happening now. Anyone telling you that's happening now, there's no scientific evidence or basis for it. They're full of shit. They're selling books. They're choking you down the neck with fear and garbage. And they're using big words and scientific bullshit about dark energy and webs. And I'm smarter than you. And therefore, look at my cosmic catastrophe information. I'll tell you what, I promise you that I'm going to write a book in the next year to make it clear how much bullshit is being filled in this non-scientific blogosphere. I'm going to do it for you, not for me. I'm going to charge almost nothing for the book except to cover my cost to write it. And I want 100 million to sell across the country so people are informed about the disinformation of NASA and NOAA that started in the 1940s, the fact that that is exactly what this government is about and why you're living this face panty bullshit globalist agenda. I'm going to tell you the true facts about cosmic catastrophe and the reset and how some people are using this to scare the masses. You're not going to die. You're especially not going to die if you live in a rural area and you can survive and thrive alone if you turn the lights out. In fact, you're going to prosper. Anybody that's stuck in a city, and that's where they want to suck you into so they can control you, is going to be fucked, in my opinion. And we've been telling people this for 4 years to get the fuck out of there. Why do you think we got out of there before we even started the channel? Hello. And those are the facts. So we will expose. I'm going to write the book. I have to, because I'm sick and tired of people being lied to on both fronts. The mainstream front, the alternative front, everyone's got a twist. How about we just put down the facts before you? We all look at it and we don't call each other names. I mean, if I decided to put Oppenheimer Ranch Project 10 miles away from a penitentiary where there's 100 people that would kill me, do you think that would be a good idea? Everyone raise your hands. Okay. Yeah, I thought so. The reason I'm sitting here is because there is no one within 300 miles that can get here. And why would they even want to come here? There's nothing here. And when I mean here, I mean Pagosa Springs, which is 30 miles north of me. 6 miles down this dead end road after you travel 300 miles to get here seems like a waste of time because there are 80 people before me that are going to kill you before you get to me. So my position is well thought out. It took me 3 years to get here. If you didn't take the time to research the science, the sociography, the geography, the socioeconomic background, the population, the county, the region, the people living there, then, well, the 7 Ps are not your friend, because proper prior preparation prevents piss poor performance. When you're trying to sell quarter acres for $50,000 next to a penitentiary, seems like a bad idea to me. Stay tuned for more live streams. I promise I will not disappoint. Oh, and you need to live near water. We live near unlimited water here. We just had the biggest drought in 50 years, and hundreds of people in my region were without water. Our well continued to supply water, 500 gallons every 12 hours during the drought. And the river in front yard runs forever. So make sure you live near water or forever be parched. And that's a boom. No.